Here's a little fun fact for you. Did you know that Wario had his own series of platforming games? Yeah, the minigame guy. You would be forgiven if you didn't know that, because I don't even think Nintendo remembers the fact that this guy had his own platforming series, because we haven't had a new game in the Wario Land series in like 15 years. Which I guess in a way shows the success of Wario as a character. This guy ventured around since the 90s collecting whatever treasure he could get his grubby little hands on, and then pretty much invests it and makes his own game company. So now I guess he doesn't have to do shit anymore. But that doesn't make us fans miss the series any less. Fortunately though, we did get one last good Wario Land game right before this very long hiatus, and that would be Wario Land Shake It on the Wii. This is a game that I feel has become somewhat forgotten from the Wii's library. You don't see a lot of people talk about it, but in truth, it was one of the better, if not one of the best 2D platformers that was available on the console at the time. And trust me, the Wii really wasn't hurting for 2D platformers. There were plenty of good ones on there. And that could be another reason as to why Wario Land Shake It doesn't really get a lot of attention, is probably because it was slightly overshadowed by other platformers that were on the Wii. Of course, you had New Super Mario Bros., you had Donkey Kong Country Returns, you had Kirby's Epic Yarn, so there really was no shortage when it came to those types of games. Shake It came out in 2008, which was early in the Wii's lifespan, so, you know, it was generally a game that I think just got overshadowed by the games that came after it. Not only that, but while the game came out to really great reviews, it was marred by one big complaint, and that was the fact that it was too short. But Wario Land Shake It is one of those games that is affected by how much you put into it. It's all about exploring and searching for treasures and secret levels, and the thing is, if you don't take the time to do those things, yeah, you're gonna fly through this game in like 5 hours, but if you actually go and explore and try to get everything and hit 100%, this game's gonna take you way longer than that. But you know what? We'll get into all that. Go grab yourself a big-ass piece of garlic, take a seat, and let's talk about this lost gem of a platformer from the Wii era.
Wario!
First of all, when they put Shake It in the title, they meant that shit literally. Look at that ass. You know you're in for a great time when the main menu screen has Wario shaking a fucking dump truck on it. Before we get to that phenomenal menu screen though, you have to go through this beautiful opening sequence. The opening cutscene is a great way to give us a preview of the look and style to this game, as the entire game has this fantastic animated look to it, where it looks like you're playing a literal cartoon. This is a style that I think fits Wario really well as a character. Whilst a lot of Nintendo characters, especially Mario Universe characters, are generally cartoony, Wario, there's just something about him that's more animated and more goofy than everyone else, and I feel that this cartoon style is just perfect for his game series. Especially if you played any of the past Wario Land series games, you'll just see how really over the top and goofy a lot of things can be. So literally, they nailed this really well. And another thing that we get right away in this opening sequence is that Captain Syrup has made her triumphant return to the series. She actually was absent from Wario Lands 3 and 4, so seeing her come back in this game was super hype. And it's through her that we're introduced to the main narrative of this game. So basically, there's this magic globe, and within it there's a whole nother dimension called the Shake Dimension. This big-ass Viking-looking motherfucker called the Shake King has invaded it, I guess. I don't know if he comes from outside, but that's the way they make it sound. Either way, he gets in there, and he manages to steal their greatest treasure. A bottomless treasure bag that as you shake it, coins come out, and it's never ending basically. And honestly, I don't blame this fucking guy. If I could get an endless money bag that as I shook it, money just came out, my ass would be going in that globe too and taking that shit. But that's not enough for this dude. He also has to go and become the big creepy and kidnap the queen. He also captures all the queen's little subjects, the Merfolk people, which are basically Jinjos from Banjo-Kazooie dressed as clowns. However, one of them gets away and decides that they're gonna get out of the Shake Dimension and go look for help. And this is where our boy Wario comes in, because Captain Syrup sent him this globe to basically trick his ass into coming into the Shake Dimension and doing all the work. She's playing 4D chess. So yeah, Wario gets sent the globe, this little Merfolk dude pops out, almost gets his ass beat, tells Wario about the treasure, introduces him to this magical telescope that allows him to travel dimensions, and also tells him that if he doesn't save the Merfolks, his ass ain't gonna be able to get out of the Shake Dimension. So pretty much they got Wario wrapped around their little fingers to get in there and start saving some Merfolks. This entire animated sequence was animated by a company called Production IG, who also just generally helped with animating the characters on this game. And damn did they do a phenomenal job. Which should come as a surprise to absolutely no one, because this company has a humongous catalog of anime, movies, and video games that they've worked on. Some really notable ones are Ghost in the Shell. They did one of the stories in Batman Gotham Knight. They did the first episode of Pokemon Origins, and even as most recently, did the 5th episode of Star Wars Visions, and they also helped work on that Star Fox Zero animated short that they put out to help promote the game back in the day. So obviously having a company like that come in and help you with the animations is just going to make this look all the more better, and really just adds to how well this game looks in terms of its visuals. Shake It is just as fun to look at as it is to play, but we can't give them all the credit, because a good amount of the credit has to go to the producer, Takahiro Harada, who was inspired to do the game because he was playing a Gomon game, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce the title of because I'm going to butcher the shit out of it. Basically, it was a Japanese exclusive Gomon game that came out on the DS. He played it, he loved it, it inspired him to make a new Wario Land game. It inspired him so damn much that he decided to call up the producer of that Gomon game, Etsunobu Ibisu, and again, I am awfully sorry if I pronounced that wrong because I'm not Japanese, if you can believe that. This dude just recently left Konami and went on to make his own company, a company by the name of Goodfeel, which you may recognize as the same company that actually made one of the previous mentioned games, Kirby's Epic Yarn, as well as Yoshi's Woolly World and Yoshi's Crafted World. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a theme going here with platforming games that have a really unique look to them. But anyway, Harada and Ibisu basically decided to do the game entirely hand-drawn, which is just insane. But you can see how well that turned out for them because the game just looks like a work of art. And I absolutely shudder to think of the amount of work that had to go into this because literally every frame of animation, hell, every single stage, every background, none of it repeats. And it's just another reason on the list as to why I feel so bad that this game just isn't talked about as much as it should be because the amount of work that had to go into it had to have just been immense. And the end result really brings all these characters and this game world to life. Everything Wario does in this game just has so much character. From his walking animation to when he uses a pipe. Look at him squeeze his ass into that pipe and kick his little legs around. It's absolutely hilarious. And you get to see all these beautiful animations while you explore the Shake dimension. The globe that we see at the start of the game serves as our world map. And this is what Wario is looking at through that magical telescope while he's shaking that ass. The world consists of 5 islands. We gain access to those islands by buying maps from Captain Syrup, who's chilling on board her ship the Sweet Stuff and basically acts as kind of like a merchant for us. As Wario collects treasure throughout the game, you take the treasure to Captain Syrup and you use that to buy a new map to get into a new area. Each island has 4 stages, including a boss stage and 2 secret stages. So this makes it 6 stages for each island and then the boss. And as mentioned earlier, these stages are all unique. Every single one of them was hand-drawn, so none of them really look exactly the same, which is awesome and really important when you're talking about a game that's key component is exploration. The Wario Land series has always been about exploration, whereas the Mario series, you tend to race through stages as quickly as possible to a time limit and try to get a high score by the time you reach the end. Wario is similar to the Kirby series or Donkey Kong Country, where it's all about exploring and finding secrets. And Shake It obviously keeps that general premise going, albeit to a slightly more limited degree. These stages are a little bit more linear than past Wario Land games, but again, given the fact that everything was hand-drawn, I think that's a little bit more forgivable. But all the things that made previous Wario Land games great are still there. There's a bunch of treasures hidden all over the various stages. Each stage has 3 major treasures to find. Some stages have a secret map that you can find in which if you find it, will unlock a secret stage on the island. And all of these stages have missions to them like finding certain treasures, finding a certain amount of treasure, doing something at a certain speed, which in the end all of that amounts to you trying to 100% the game. Wario brings a lot of similar moves with him that he's had in past games. He's got the shoulder bash, he's got the head charge, he's got his ground pound, and he can still throw enemies around just like he could in past games. The shoulder bash, in my opinion, being the most iconic move that Wario has. It's pretty much been featured in literally almost every single Wario Land game and just has a lot to do with his character generally, being this brute who relies on his strength to just bash his way through everything. So that, in my opinion, was the most important thing to come back for Wario, and it did, so no complaints from me. The one thing that Shake It is limited on, however, is the transformations. Wario doesn't nearly have as many transformations in this game as he's had in past titles. And while yes, a few of the old transformations from previous games do return, mostly they were pretty much switched out with, like, vehicles. Throughout various stages in the games, you have these vehicles that are in there which pretty much rely on the motion controls. Normally the motion is usually nothing more than just tilting the Wiimote back and forth in order to keep yourself steady or make yourself go forward or backwards. But that was definitely something that you did see some fans complaining about, is the lack of transformations. And I agree, the transformations are pretty much one of the funnest parts of the Wario games, and losing out on a lot of them to be replaced with these vehicles is a little bit bland, but overall I don't think it really ruins the experience of the game generally. I will admit that a lot of these vehicle sections are probably the most frustrating parts of the games, but that's because, again, it relies on motion controls, which can be a little weird sometimes. But aside from that, the platforming in this game is near flawless. It's absolutely perfect. When the Wii first came out and it was hot, all anybody cared about was having motion controls in games, and games that utilize that gimmick to its highest possibility. Wario Land Shake It really doesn't use the Wiimote as much as you would expect other Wii games to. You hold the Wiimote very much like a traditional controller, and you don't even use the nunchuck for this game. So that's why it plays like a relatively normal platformer. And back in the day, a lot of people felt that if the game didn't utilize a lot of the motion control, then what's the point? This could have been a reason as to why the game didn't sell super well on the Wii, and may have also helped lead to it being relatively obscure by today's standards. Of course, that's just me speculating. Another area where the motion controls tend to be relatively heavily used is in the boss fights. A lot of the boss fights will utilize some sort of mechanic that requires you to use the Wiimote. Again, it's usually not anything more than just tilting the Wiimote in order to drive a vehicle maybe, or shaking the Wiimote in order to do a jump or something like that. But this does tend to make the boss fights a little bit more challenging because, again, motion controls can get a little weird sometimes. If the day ever comes where Nintendo actually does give this game some sort of remaster or some sort of re-release, which hopefully happens before hell freezes over, hopefully they'll include some sort of alternate control scheme where you can perhaps play without the motion controls, where everything can be done with just like a button press or something. Mostly because the motion controls were the one thing in this game that was actually holding it back, and not having them would probably make it a little bit better. But again, it's still something that I don't feel ruins the game at all or makes it like terrible or anything like that. But you know what definitely wasn't holding this game back? The soundtrack, because it is incredible. Two composers worked on Shake It, Tomoya Tomita and Minako Hamano. Both have an immense amount of Nintendo game credits under their belts. Tomita did the music for Yoshi's Woolly World and Kirby's Epic Yarn, and Minako Hamano has worked on an incredible list of games, which include The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, pretty much all of the 2D Metroid games, and even Donkey Kong Country Returns. So there you go, easy explanation as to why the Wario Land Shake It soundtrack absolutely slaps. One of the most iconic songs from the game that I'm sure most people know would be Stone Carving City, which is actually the first stage in the game. It's pretty popular, especially given the fact that they use it as Wario's Wind theme in Super Smash Bros. But that doesn't even scratch the surface of good-ass music in this game. My personal favorite song is Glitter Town. It's an absolute bop and probably one of the best songs in the game. It also reminds me a lot of Donkey Kong Country Returns, so that's probably another reason why I like it so much, because it has a similar sound to it. But if the animation wasn't enough incentive for you to play this game, the soundtrack definitely should be, because it's absolutely amazing. Of course, if you actually do want to play this game, your options are quite limited. At the time of recording this video at least, the only options that you have to actually play this game are getting it on the Wii, downloading it on the Wii U eShop, which is about to go belly up soon, so good luck with that, or you can pull a Captain Syrup and pirate that shit. Purchasing the game on the secondhand market actually isn't that bad because it pretty much runs in the 20s to 30s area, so it's really not exuberant in its price, and it's absolutely more than worth a $20 price tag. Obviously, if Nintendo ever does give this game a remaster, they're going to charge you like $60 for it. So if you want to play it and not have to pay that much money, now's the best time to do it if you have a Wii or a Wii U. Of course, a price hike doesn't necessarily mean that I wouldn't want to see this game in HD. It absolutely deserves some kind of remaster or re-release or something, because, again, everything from the animation to the music and the platforming is all just absolutely fantastic in this game, and it just doesn't get the love that I feel that it deserves. But hopefully, if you've never played it and you watch this video, maybe it'll inspire you to go out, grab it, and give it a try, because I promise you, you're gonna have a good time. But if you have played Wario Land Shake It, what did you think of the game? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Why don't you let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a like. That really helps my channel. If you really like this video, feel free to subscribe. I make videos whenever I can. I say it all the time, but I work full time and I'm really busy. I have a really full schedule, so I can only really make these videos in my spare time and free time, and that's on top of playing the games and recording the footage and everything like that. It's a lot of work, which unfortunately leads to me not being able to put out videos as much as I would like or as quickly as I would like. But just know that I will never stop. This is something that I really enjoy. I have a lot of fun doing this, so I will always make videos, regardless of how long the gaps of time are in between them. Just know that there's gonna be one coming at some point. If you want to try to talk to me in between videos, or you just want to meet really cool people that are into video games, feel free to join my Discord chat. I'll have a link for it down in the description below. It's the quietest Discord with over 100 members in it, but those who are frequently in there that do converse and do talk are really great, really nice people. They love video games. If you want to meet new people, if you want to even try to have a chance to play some games, just jump on in, make it a little bit livelier, you know, bring in whoever you want, I don't know, cause a ruckus. Bring this place to life. Finally, to all my longtime subscribers, I just want to thank you. I always try to thank you guys at the end of all my videos. It's absolutely amazing that you guys are sticking with me despite the fact that I do have some gaps between video releases and stuff. You're all amazing. I don't know where my YouTube journey is going to take me. Maybe one day what is now a hobby could someday possibly be something. I don't know. I'm not going to jump the gun here and say it'll be a career or something like that, but you never know. And it's just really cool to have you guys with me on the journey. So thank you again. Have a great day. Be safe. And remember, try not to be a Wario.
Have a rotten day.